What is up, you guys? We're here with Brian and Sierra from Off-Grid Backcountry Adventures. We're going to give you guys a tour of his truck and go through his story and just show you everything that's on his vehicle.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Brian with Off-Grid Backcountry Adventures. I've been on the road since 2015, and here's my 2005? Yeah, 2005 Tacoma. I remember the year. I built a slide-out extension here because I couldn't find anything that really fit my needs. What I wanted to have my roof rack capacity at its maximum for carrying weight, because I did trail work for the Forest Service for volunteering. And so I was constantly carrying heavy tools on top, so I couldn't have like a pop-up camper. So I kept on looking for something that could like slide out of the back, and I couldn't find anything that was out there for sale, so I ended up just making it myself. And this cost a total of about $300. It's pretty beat up now. This was actually going to be just the prototype that I was going to use for a couple weeks to test out and then come back and build a legit one. But this worked so well, I just kept jamming with it, and here it is 5 years later, and I did this in 2017. And so I really like it. It's really compact. When I get everything done here and I pack everything up and just roll up the bedroll, everything slides in, and then you can't really tell that I'm living in this full time, you know. And that's what I wanted, because you see other rigs, like especially school buses and stuff like that, like I'm always jealous of the room that they have, but I'm never jealous of the fact that everybody knows exactly what they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and so like there's a little bit of stealthness in mind with this, even though when it's set up it's not stealth, but when it's packed up it's stealth, in the sense that you don't necessarily think I'm a nomad. Now if you were to sit here and look at my rig, you'd see you see the solar panel. If you looked in the back, you'd see that there's a slide out extension or something back that you probably put two and two together. But if you're just cruising by me on the road, you don't know.
That's what I really like about your build, is it's just, you would never know that it's something that you would live full time out of.
Yeah, and I've never got hassled by the Forest Service or anybody the full time that I've been on the road. The only time that they came up to me and asked me if I could move was when I was up near Flagstaff and there was a really big snowstorm coming in. And they're like, hey, we know you're totally capable of handling this, but we have to shut this area down because that's their policy up there.
That makes sense.
With the roads. And they're like, but there's these other areas that are open, and we suggest, like, there's some really cool campsites over here. And they were real cool about it, so they gave me places to go. But other than that, I've never had somebody roll up to me when I was in my truck and be like, you've been here too long, you need to leave. Because I like, for like the first year I was on the road at like different place every single day, just jamming. It was so much fun. And so my thing is like, the reason why I built it this way is because I like to fly fish.
Oh yeah.
And I like to like some of the really high altitude lakes in Colorado, they're tough to reach trailheads, and so I'm like, well, I need a vehicle to get me there and a place just to sleep. Like, I don't need to hang out in here all day long. I'm not doing jumping jacks in here, obviously. It's just a place to sit down. And so like, it leads to being pretty active because you're on your feet all day long.
Yeah.
And like with my cook station being out here with the tailgate, with the drop down table, it's like all my living spaces really are outside except for the sleeping area. So like, I've got this living room area here with the the slumberjack tarp with the awning, or I'm sorry, with the bug net right here. I've got the awning room over there that's covered as well. That is more of a UV protection as opposed to this. This is a little bit of protection, but not much.
Yeah.
But over there, it's still full UV block. So if it's really sunny out, I can sit underneath that and I'm good to go.
Oh yeah.
I also have an air conditioner in the back.
That's
in the
awesome.
back seat, which I'll show you. If you look in here, you can actually see the hose coming in, the cooling hose in the back there from the pass through. And so I want to make like a legit, this is like my first test run with this, but I want to make like a legit fitting for it.
Oh yeah.
I can just easily put in there, and then it sections it off and it's good to go.
Yeah.
For my sleeping quarters in here, it's pretty basic. I mean, it's basically just a bed. I've got an X-Bed sleeping mat. I did the 4-inch one. I've got a Cabela's sleeping bag, which is essentially a bedroll. It's so thick, which is kind of nice. So I sleep on top of that, and then I just use my blankets. Sierra sleeps there right next to me, and a lot of times she'll just come over and sleep next to me at night. And then I've got a little shelf on the back with a little backpacking cook stove. And then up top, you'll see that I use the roof rack screws to make shelves that come down. So that's where I store my clothes.
That's an awesome use of space.
Yeah, so it works out well. And then I switched out. I used to have it was a aluminized vinyl kind of covering that would go on the exterior, and it looked like diamond plating, but it wasn't legit diamond plating. It was real lightweight. But it still had a little bit of metal in it. You could work with it, and it was real pliable and everything. But the problem was the sun made it brittle after a couple of years. So I switched out for the canvas, and I'm going to redo this. That's why I have another canvas tarp here. I've ripped this one up over the last year. But I like this because it breathes. And so, like, the big thing with the truck camping, especially in high elevations like in Colorado, I'm up there in June. I still could have nights where it's in freezing.
Yeah.
And so the condensation on the interior, if anybody out there truck camps, you know that like the condensation on the interior of your truck topper is horrible.
Oh yeah.
Well, having this to where this is breathable, I mean, it's a completely breathable membrane. And for the roof that I have in here, it's just a piece of plexiglass. And so it's removable. And so if I'm going to go out for a long time and then I don't have a bunch of rain in the forecast, I can actually remove this, and it's just strictly a canvas top, so it's really breathable.
Yeah.
Nice. So in the summertime, it keeps it nice and cool.
Oh yeah.
And then added, with the air conditioner now, and I'm going to be really dialed in here. So, and then for cold weather, I do have a heater that I can push, a space heater, because I have 4,000 watts of power in the truck.
Oh yeah.
And so little space heater I think it only pulls like 250 watts max.
That's not bad at all.
And it's such a small space that I can keep it relatively warm. Now, if it gets down to like below zero, the space and a blowing wind, like the space heater, it has a hard time keeping up.
Yeah.
Right? But if it's like 32 degrees out and kind of uncomfortable, but not too bad, a space heater is awesome.
Oh yeah.
So, but that's kind of my sleeping setup, and I spend a lot of time back here, kind of hanging out. I'll have my little table set up here, and then obviously my camp chair.
Yeah.
And just kind of kick it back here. I've got it to where I can have all my power come back, so if I need to charge up my computer, it's no problem. On the back here, this is a marine, like a boat, aluminum tank. It's a Worthington. A lot of people ask me what this is. So it's a Worthington 5-pound. It's actually not 5 pound. I can't remember how many gallons this is. Or it's 5 gallons, but 1.3 pounds of propane. And I like this because it actually fits in between, my water container and my jerry can, and then my spare tire, because it's kind of hard to find one that is slender.
Oh
a lot of them
yeah.
are fat and squatty. And that's okay if you have the mount down lower, but it could present some problems a little bit if it was way down over here. So I like it that it's up a little bit and off. And plus, too, I think it looks kind of cool. These Worthington gas tanks are pretty awesome. And then I've got the Lifesaver jerry can here for water. You just pump this up. There's a water purifier underneath the spout here, and then as the water gets forced through it, it purifies it.
Oh yeah.
Which is pretty cool. And then just your typical gas jerry can. And then the Coleman 2-burner stove here. So I've actually got 2 cook spaces. Well, 3 legitimately. The little candle back in there, the Yuko candelier, that can boil water after about 30 minutes if you put it on top, because it's got a warming plate on top.
Oh yeah.
If all 3 candles are going, that'll boil water.
That's awesome.
Which is crazy. And then of course I got the backpacking stove, and then I have this for the big meals.
Yeah.
So come out here, hook up my propane to it, just links up with a little extension hose, which is really easy, and then jamming. And then I also use this to work on my RC truck. So if I need to like work on the tires or switch out any parts or anything like that, this is really easy to work with it. So that was the one thing, the big reason why I got the Brute Force Fab bumper here.
Yeah.
And that's who makes this. It's Brute Force Fab out of California, and it's just bruteforcefab.com. But it eliminated my tailgate. Like I used to work on my tailgate with all my gear.
Yeah.
But then when I had the slide out extension, it eliminated that. So what I did was I went to Brute Force Fab to have this drop down table, so I could have like a workstation back.
Yeah, gives you back that space that was that's taken up by the pop out.
Yeah, I love that bumper. It's a high clearance bumper. I do have my rubber bands for working out, because I think it's important to try to keep your physical conditioning up, especially if you're out hiking a bunch.
Oh yeah.
Hiking alone doesn't do it for you. I think you need to lift weights as well.
That's true.
So, and then the ARB awning that I have here, I actually stretch this out a lot to make it to where it sheds water easy, because they're flat normally.
Yeah.
And so I put this in here to stretch it out, and also I used this one year as a winter camping setup in the shoulder season in Colorado. I put a stove in the drop down room. It was pretty awesome. It worked well. But I like this because it's a full shade block. So
oh yeah,
all the UV rays are not coming down, and that tarp there for the Slumberjack, the UV rays do come through a little bit. So in the back here, I've just got the Nomadic 45, and then underneath here, this is where I store like different things for cooking, different stuff. Nothing really too out of the ordinary. Just basically your food stuff. The solar comes in from here, and I've got a junction to plug in different extension cords and stuff like that. I always tell people, if you're going to run solar on your vehicle, make sure that you have extension cords to put the panels out in the sun so you can park in the shade.
That's one of the things I got to get.
Yeah, it's important to do that. It just helps out. It just keeps your vehicle cool all day long. And then when you get in your vehicle at night to go to sleep, it's not hot.
Yeah.
So, but then behind here, if you want to look behind here, underneath the little hose there is where I've got one of my batteries. It's a 1.5 kilowatt hour. It's called the Blue Eddy EB150. So that's a nice battery. It works well. It's lithium ion. It's not the new LiPo 4, but it's the previous version, and it's a good battery. I've really been pleased with it. One of my extension cords comes out here and I'll have solar on both sides. So when I set up camp, I look for areas to where I can have solar on both sides so I can maximize sun throughout the day.
Yeah.
The front seat here usually houses my most important item, which is my RC truck.
Yeah.
And that is a Traxxas TRX4. It's I got lockers in both the front and the rear. And then I've done a bunch of upgrades to it. I did like a brushless motor and different steering servo and actual legitimate locker or beadlock tires and or beadlock rims and then new tires and all that stuff. So I love this thing. I screw around on it all the time. If you're truck camping and you like to 4x4, then when you get back to camp at night, doing one of these is awesome. And Phil from Down to Mob got me into this. So
Yeah, I need to get one also. I just sold mine recently, and just being out here for the weekend with you,
yeah,
makes me want to get one immediately now.
well, and it's like all the terrain that we camp in is rocky, so it
Yeah.
works. And then same when I go to Colorado in the summertime, and they're called the Rocky Mountains for a reason.
Yeah.
But the front seat here is just like kind of just a workstation area, really. You know, I'll have like trash in the front, just kind of miscellaneous items. I got my bag for the tarp, but it's just I like to keep things kind of organized and cleaned up because who knows when I want to roll out, and I don't want to have to like spend hours, you know,
Yeah.
going like packing stuff up. So my the way I operate when I'm out here is like if I'm doing something, I always make sure to clean it up when I'm done and just put it back where I got it.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to get unorganized around here. I usually throw solar on the hood. I've got enough solar here to put out 1200 watts because I've got a battery that can take 1200 watts at one time. The new battery has actually not been released yet. It's from a company called Big Blue Tech. And let me get this out of the way here. This is my, in the front here I'll have my drone, a full mechanics kit for tools, and then my laundry. But this is the battery that can have up to 1200 watts of solar into it at one time. And it's a really nice readout. If you look on here, it tells you how much you're inputting. So right now I got 256 watts coming in. Output's only 16 watts. We're at 20%, and we're at 5.5 hours until we're full.
Wow.
So this holds 2.5 kilowatts, which is 2,500 watts of power. It's got a cool readout and everything on it. You can also control this with an app via your smartphone, and it's got Bluetooth on it, which is really cool. And then I like it because of the quick charge. You know, the ability to have 1,200 watts in there at one time. It's just super awesome, especially now that I'm running this refrigerator.
Oh, yeah.
Or air conditioner. So here's the air conditioner back here. Let's see here. I'll go ahead and take these out real quick. These are the exhaust vents. It does kick out quite a bit of warm air when it's going. This is Sierra's bed when I don't have the air conditioner in the area. But this is the Zero Breeze air conditioner, and it legitimately works. It's a legit air conditioner. It's got the compressor and everything. And it pulls, on the highest setting, it pulls about 300 watts continuously, which is not bad at all. It's actually surprisingly good.
Yeah.
And then it has a battery too on the bottom here. It's a 38 amp hour lithium ion battery. And that will last on the low setting for 9 hours, which is amazing. That you can have a freaking battery powered air conditioner.
Oh, yeah.
So it's incredible. And then I just have the exhaust ports come out here, and we're good to go. And then underneath that seat is where I keep all my fly fishing gear, because like I said, I set up my truck to fly fish. So a lot of people have asked like why I choose to stay with the mid-size truck, and the reason being is that the trails that I spend most of my time on are in Colorado, and they're old mining trails, and the mining trails tend to be pretty narrow. And so, you know, the full-size rigs can definitely get up there. I'm not saying they're not capable. They're plenty capable. But the thing is I can get up the real tricky, hard-to-reach, narrow, hard obstacles that you can't get past with any bigger rigs. And that's why I haven't put a camper on the back, you know, like something that makes the width more. I know trails to where I can barely squeeze through, and I never see anybody pass those obstacles.
Yeah.
You know, and so and on top of it too, I built out this truck. I started building it out in 2016, and I just got done with it, and here it is 2022. And I don't want to go through that process again. You know what it's like. It's a pain.
Oh, yeah.
And so a lot of people come to me and they hit me up, oh, you need full size. Yeah, sure, that'd be great. But you want to give me $100,000 to build it out?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Like full size trucks, if you want to get a good one, it costs about $60,000 now. They're ridiculously priced. These decked out are $52,000, which is nuts.
Yeah.
I got this for $30 brand now.
Wow.
And so but that was back in 2005. But still, I mean, like, the way that things have become so much more expensive, it doesn't make sense. That's why I tell people, I'm like, just go out with what you have.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need the perfect rig. There is no perfect rig, by the way. But you don't need like to dial everything in. You just work with what you have, and you can make it happen. Because when I first hit the road with this truck, no lift, all I had was a topper.
Yeah.
There's nothing else. You know, all I had was a cook stove and a backpack and a sleeping bag, and I hit the road with that.
I mean, honestly, you don't really need much more to get started.
Yeah, and it's been working great ever since. And then along the way, I figured out what I like, and I added that gear as needed.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I tell people. I'm like, don't build out your rig entirely when you haven't even lived on the road yet. Go live on the road for a little bit with minimal gear, figure out what you need, and then go build it, because you're going to save yourself like having to rip all that stuff out and redo it.
Oh, yeah.
Because that costs money. Let's see what else. As far as like upgrades go for the truck, 3-inch lift. I did the Old Man Emu lift, which is pretty much a bulletproof lift, which is why I did it. It's pretty stiff in the front. That's why I did some upgrades in the front, we'll talk about here in a sec. But in the back here, I've got the Dakar heavy duty leaf springs, the 8-leaf pack. For the wheels, I did with Pro Comp wheels. For the tires, right now I'm rocking the BF Goodwrench K2Os or KO2s. K2Os, KO2s, and I like them. Some people say that these chunk a lot. I haven't had any experience with that yet, but you know, if you drive enough trails with your tires aired down that are bumpy and rocky enough, you're going to chunk no matter what.
Oh yeah, regardless what tire it is.
Yeah. So as far as the sliders go, these are from Brute Force Fab. These are welded onto the frame. For those who aren't familiar, sliders help me if I want to get past an obstacle. I can actually slide. Oh boy, what you doing, girl? You help us out. That's Sierra's like little hangout area during the daytime. She loves being under the truck. But it's nice to have these, because if I ever need to go over an obstacle where I need to, you know, utilize these to get past a rock or something like that, I can.
Oh yeah.
And that's why I got them on there. They have side steps that come on them initially, but they're just plastic and they look like crap.
Oh.
So get rid of those.
Just about any obstacle would break them off too.
Yeah,
or destroy them.
I actually almost broke them off. That's why I was like, well, time for a change.
Oh yeah.
Okay, now if you're going to be truck camping and you want to do the best upgrade that's the cheapest, that will give you the most noticeable difference right away, change your upper control arms. These are your upper control arms right here. And what this does is you can swap out, especially for the Tacoma. This is from JBA Off-Road. This is a $450 upgrade, and it gives you an inch more travel in the front suspension.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so like you literally go from being shaken apart on bumpy trails to you put this on here, you go on that bumpy trail again, you don't feel the bumps. So, you know, when you're starting your truck build, I think that obviously the first component is the lift. And the wheels and tires, you know, to get you a little bit more clearance, and then do upper control arms, or if you can, do upper control arms when you do the lift and the tires, because they're going to be under there anyway. Yeah. So I'd say do that, and that way you knock it out and don't have to pay more labor time. But that's a really great addition. That's the best addition you can put on for the lowest cost that will give you the most noticeable improvement. Yeah. And you're right. As far as what I have under the hood, I don't have a dual battery system because I've got a pretty tight compartment under there. Let me show you what I'm working with. This is a 2005 Tacoma, so it's a little bit different than some of the other. Watch out, there's a bunch of bees right there. It's a little bit different than some of the other newer Toyotas, but essentially I decided if you want to do a dual battery system, you move your fuse box back and you put it right here, because there's a tray that you can buy. It's for both of them. Oh yeah. I decided not to move my fuse box, and instead I put my dual air compressor here, which runs obviously the air compressor to air up my tires, which I use that daily, literally. Yeah. Because I'm always out on 4x4 trails. And it also runs my locker, the rear locker that I have in my rear differential. Oh yeah. And so so that runs both of those, and I love having an air compressor. I mean, it's great to have that. You know, you can use it for other stuff. You can blow up your bed with it and all those different things. I could put the dual battery system over here, but I'd have to move this. I did the snorkel because Toyota has the worst air intake design ever on the planet. It's in the passenger front wheel well, which is ridiculous. If you're following anybody on a trail and it's dusty, you're just gonna change your air filter every time you change oil. So instead, you do the snorkel, and a lot of people think it's just for water, but it's not. It's actually for better air quality. Yeah. So, and it gives you 15% more horse because it acts like a cold air induction. And so I like that. I think it looks kind of cool. A lot of people think it looks cheesy, but I don't really care. And that's why this is in the way. Otherwise, if this wasn't here, you're good with putting the battery here, because I believe this is a little bit different than when it comes in here. It's a little bit different setup. So, but you know, I'm not going to do a dual battery system. I like having the compressor. Just had the engine replaced. I went with the Jasper rebuild because Toyota doesn't actually make a secondary engine for it. You can't buy that. Sierra, over here, girl. Those are a bunch of bees. Come on, over this way.
I'd say one of the biggest upsides to having the snorkel itself is, it's one of the only true cold air intakes other than like the cowl intake on my Jeep. Yep. And with the air filter being down in the fender, if you're crossing any amount of water, I mean,
you're screwed.
yeah, the chance of sucking it into the intake is high.
Yeah, so what a lot of people do with Tacomas is they will take this off, take the hose off,
Oh.
and that way you don't, like, it'd have to come up to here or splash way up.
That makes sense.
You know, but still, even with that, I mean, you could suck in a bunch of stuff, and it's
Yeah.
just not worth it. And so I like doing that. Nothing really else on the engine as far as like engine upgrades. You know, just more of like compressor and stuff like that to go from there. On the front here, this is the ARB Deluxe Bull Bar bumper. Went with the 9500 XPS Warren winch. It's a good one. I think they call it the 9500 Ti or something like that. I haven't hooked up the secondary lights yet. It's been like years since I got that bumper on. That's been lagging on it. On the top here, this is the road shower, and this was actually the Kickstarter a long time ago when they first got going. Road shower's been bought by Yakin by now, and like the prices are through the roof. But this was one of the first ones that was ever created, so it's kind of cool. I'm still rocking it. And then I got my Max Tracks up underneath here. I like to keep everything kind of low profile, so I've got it. They're here, but I wanted them black. I didn't want the orange ones that stick out. I mean, I don't want to advertise that I'm on the road.
Yes.
You know, and I don't want to advertise that I have a refrigerator and an air conditioner and 4,000 watts of battery power and all that stuff, because people can just jack your truck.
Oh yeah.
And so that's one of the reasons why I keep it low pro. Even with the solar panel over there, you can't see it unless you're really looking. You know, because it's like underneath and it's behind the shield and all that stuff, and it's in the basket. People are like, why don't you put it on top? I'm like, because then people can see it easier.
Yeah, and honestly, I didn't even know that you had any Max Tracks or anything.
Yeah, a lot of people don't. I'll be like, I'll bust them out. They're like, where'd you get those at? I'm like, oh, they're on my roof rack.
Yeah.
You can't tell.
Yeah.
So, but let's see. Other than that, oh, and then the bumper here, just to give you an idea, I had to cut off a foot of the quarter panel here to put this, so it's a high clearance bumper. Otherwise, the quarter panel comes down to here. And so you see how much of a better, departure angle I have as opposed to that. It's like up here now. And so I like this. Great bumper. The only thing that I don't like is the receiver hitch is where the license goes. The license plate goes, so you have to take the license plate off to put the receiver hitch in. But, other than that, it's no big deal.
Have you smacked this on any obstacles, going through any trails or anything?
No, and I've done some pretty steep stuff in and out, and I haven't had any hits to it.
So yeah, that's great departure angle then. So you're not catching it on anything.
Yeah. So as far as changes to my truck coming up, I'm not doing any changes. I've got it the way I want it, and so I just everything's paid off. It's been paid off for a long time. It's just I've got it built the way I want, and I just don't feel the need to go out and get like a new truck just to say I have a new truck. It's like this gets me to so many places that you just don't I don't see anybody when I'm out there, and so it's like the vehicle works for me. Me and Sierra jamming it. It's kind of nice because it's small, and I can go a lot of places. It also keeps it to where I keep minimal gear, so I'm not carrying a ton of stuff with me because I'm limited with what I can carry. Yeah. So I just like it. It's cool. It's a simple lifestyle, and it works. Kind of forces you to be a minimalist, but everything that you have with it is. I mean, it doesn't really look minimal or is minimal at all. Yeah, I love it. And once I get it set up, it's, there's plenty of places to hang out. Oh, yeah. So it's like, it's good to go. And like I said, with it being paid off, it's like, this is my adventure rig for the rest of its life, Yeah. And so until the truck gives out, which hopefully it never will. Yeah. So. I mean, you have the, super beefy suspension, the brand new motor in it. I mean, It's a Toyota. It's gonna last forever. Yeah, and it's got 350,000 miles on the frame and everything, but it's just it's that steel. It's not like it's a problem. Yeah. And I love it, and it's easy to get parts. I mean, Tacomas, especially the second gen, it's been around forever. Yeah. And they didn't change the body style for 10 full years, and so you can pretty much find anything you want, any direction you want to take your build, you can do it with these vehicles. So. That's what's great about it too, is it's old enough that if you have to get replacement parts, it's cheap. And it doesn't cost an arm and a leg. And YouTube has every video to fix stuff on there. Oh yeah. So I can go on there, if something goes wrong, I'm like, oh cool. Like I had some stuff earlier this year, some electrical stuff, and I got on YouTube and was able to figure it out. Yeah, and it seems simple enough under the hood and the whole suspension and drivetrain that if you were in a remote place and got stranded or something broke, you could easily fix it enough to either limp it off the trail or completely fix it altogether. Yeah, that's kind of the goal. So I love it. Works great, and I'm just planning to keep on trucking. Yeah. So. How long have you been on the road? Since July 5th, 2015. Wow. Yeah. I had to get off when the engine was being replaced, obviously, and that took forever with COVID, but everything's good now, so we're back on the road. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that just shows that you don't need, you know, the latest and greatest vehicle or gear to get on the road.
Right.
I mean, you start off with just the truck and the topper
Yep.
and built from there. And I mean, this thing's badass.
Thanks, man.
It's extremely capable and it's built out.
Yeah.
It's nothing's been wasted. Like it's been built out, you know, really thought out and smart.
Yeah, it was done with intent, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing is like I was saying earlier is, you know, wait to build out your rig entirely until you hit the road and go test it out a little bit and see if you like it.
Yeah.
You know, it might not function the way you think.
That's true.
And then you'll dial in, because even with me testing stuff out and dialing things in and stuff like that, you still change stuff after you hit the road.
Yeah.
You know. And so I've probably gone through 6 different revisions, but this is kind of like, I'm kind of figuring it out with the truck now. I've got enough power in here to where, you know, hot or cold weather, doesn't matter. I've got climate control. I can power it, and so it's no issue.
And what's great too about slowly building it up is if you bought the truck, bought all the gear, got on the road, or you get into overlanding or camping, and it turns out, you know, a lot of the gear you don't need or it was a waste, it doesn't discourage you from the hobby or lifestyle altogether.
Right.
So slowly building up all of your gear and your vehicle, you know, it makes it more of a journey and a learning instead of just, oh, I wasted a bunch of money on a bunch of gear that doesn't really fit this lifestyle or hobby, and, you know, discourages you from continuing on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, I love it, man. And also, to the people that I've met in this, you know, do this full time, it's just a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
You know, because you're outside all the time, and like, you know, you're usually hiking around, you know, around camp, usually camping in neat areas that are visually stunning, you know, and then you're there with your dog who loves to run around too. And most people that travel full time, not I wouldn't say most, but I'd say a lot have dogs, and so it's just fun to all get together and hang out and just enjoy life.
Yeah, and everybody that you meet on the road, they all have the same like personality or intent, or you know, it's easy to get along with them because you guys all have the same interests.
Yeah, and being outside all the time, I think it's an easier environment than the pressure cookers in the cities, you know.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, cool, man.
Yeah, this is Brian's 05 or 06?
05.
05 Toyota Tacoma.
Yep.
It is about one of my favorite Tacomas I've ever seen, just by how it's built out and everything.
Thank you.
And I will have a link to his channel in the description. You guys should subscribe. All of the places that he explores and checks out are just mind-blowing.
Oh, thanks, man.
So
I have fun doing it. It's great.
Oh yeah. You're living the life that me and Nat want to do, and we're working our way towards that. Hopefully one day.
Yeah, definitely.
And I will have a link to his channel in the description. And thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good one.
Thanks, guys.